A chilling silence blankets the vast, desolate landscape of Kursk. Not the familiar silence of an empty field, but the suffocating silence that precedes a storm of the most unimaginable kind. Today, we're not talking about standard military drills or geopolitical maneuvers. We are delving into a story so bizarre, so utterly unsettling, it's hard to believe it unfolded in the 21st century. What happened in Kursk transcends mere military miscalculations. It touches on the very fabric of sanity. Prepare yourselves, because what you are about to witness is an account of self-inflicted carnage, a tale of North Korean troops engaging in the unthinkable, taking their own lives on Russian soil. And the worst part? It appears even Kim Jong-Un might have been left completely in the dark by this horrific event, perhaps even a part of an even more convoluted deception aimed at Putin himself. Before we dive into the details, I need you to know that this story is not just about the tragic loss of life. This is about potential deception, fractured alliances, and the lengths some are willing to go to. Today, we will break down the key moments of this catastrophe. There will be 6 chapters in total. Each chapter will reveal an element of this story and will take you deeper into the twisted reality of what happened in Kursk. And remember, as always, the most crucial details and the conclusions we will draw will be at the very end. So make sure you stay with me till the very end of the video. Chapter 1, The Whispers of Kursk. The initial reports trickled out not as concrete facts, but as unsettling whispers within the intelligence community. Unidentified troop movements near Kursk, a region steeped in historical significance for Russia, were detected by various satellite surveillance systems. At first, they were dismissed as routine exercises, until chatter revealed a peculiar element: North Korean uniforms. What were North Korean soldiers doing so far from their own borders? It's not unprecedented for nations to engage in joint military exercises, but these movements carried a distinct air of secrecy, an unease that did not sit well with seasoned analysts. The location of Kursk itself is key to this unease. The very name echoes with the ghosts of one of the bloodiest battles in history. This is a place where tanks clashed in a hellstorm of metal, and now, this hallowed ground was once more becoming the stage for something potentially catastrophic. These were not troops casually deploying. These were highly trained and equipped North Korean soldiers, seemingly operating without standard protocol or oversight, or at least that's what the situation implied. The silence from official channels only fueled the speculation. These deployments raised alarms not only within the United States, but also within certain elements of the Russian military itself. Was this a legitimate military exercise? Or was something more sinister at play? The answers started to come with the first horrific reports of the events that were about to unfold. Chapter 2, The Unthinkable Acts. The first confirmed reports painted a picture of utter chaos and horror. Initially, they arrived as snippets of garbled comms intercepted by multiple intelligence agencies. The details were so gruesome, so improbable that many initially refused to believe them, yet the raw data corroborated the grim reality. North Korean soldiers, not in combat, not falling victim to some enemy fire, but seemingly turning their weapons on themselves, en masse. It was initially unclear whether this was a coordinated act or mass hysteria. What would drive these soldiers to such desperation? Why would they choose self-destruction in such a remote area? Eyewitness accounts from Russian soldiers who arrived on the scene detailed scenes of absolute carnage. Some of the reports spoke of the North Koreans using their own Type 98 assault rifles, which are similar in design to the Russian AK-74, to inflict mortal wounds on themselves. Others reportedly detonated grenades while huddled in groups, as if executing some form of ritualistic suicide pact. The sheer brutality of these acts defied comprehension. Each report came with its own chilling details, all compounding the growing sense of dread and uncertainty. Initial conjectures ranged from a mass psychological breakdown to an accident involving new types of weaponry. But these theories seemed inadequate to explain the scale and the deliberate nature of the tragedy. The sheer number of casualties also hinted at a far more complicated scenario, which required further investigation. Chapter 3, The Kremlin's Response. The Kremlin's initial response to these horrific events was, quite naturally, complete and utter silence. The Russian media, carefully controlled, offered no word of these tragedies. A news blackout, an exercise in damage control that only served to fuel rumors and speculations. This silence, deafening and deliberate, spoke volumes about the seriousness of the situation. It also raised questions about the relationship between Moscow and Pyongyang. Was this some sort of catastrophic failure in command? Or was there something much more sinister brewing? What was Putin's reaction to this disaster, which had occurred on his own soil and involved troops from a close ally? The first official statement, when it finally came, was an exercise in obfuscation. The Kremlin confirmed that there had been some military training accidents involving Allied troops, but provided no details as to the casualties nor the nationalities of the soldiers involved. The statement also emphasized that an internal investigation was underway and that more details would be released. This ambiguity, however, did nothing to dispel the unease both inside and outside of Russia. It was apparent that the Kremlin was attempting to conceal the full gravity of the situation, indicating the potential for a political fallout. The silence, the coded language, and the lack of transparency all painted a picture of a scandal of a significant magnitude. Chapter 4, the Kim Jong-Un angle. The most perplexing aspect of this whole situation is the apparent lack of involvement by Kim Jong-Un. There are strong indications that the North Korean leader was either deliberately kept out of the loop, or that he was genuinely unaware of this bizarre military exercise in Russia. The fact that the troops were equipped with standard North Korean military gear, but operating under an unidentified chain of command, adds to the already complex nature of the situation. This complete lack of oversight from the North Korean High Command is deeply disturbing. Some intelligence agencies are considering that this was possibly a rogue operation executed by a faction within the North Korean military, a possible coup d'etat attempt, potentially designed to damage relations between Russia and North Korea and to humiliate the Kim regime on the global stage. This theory is further compounded by several high-profile military purges within the North Korean ranks in the past several weeks, as reported in the South Korean media. However, it is also worth considering another disturbing possibility, that the troops in Kursk may have been deliberately sacrificed as part of a larger and even more sinister plot, a plot potentially aimed directly at Vladimir Putin himself. Chapter 5, Unraveling the Truth. As investigations into the Kursk tragedy continue, a few disturbing details are emerging, hinting at a much more complex and darker reality than the public was led to believe. For example, it appears that the North Korean troops were not the only casualties involved. According to the intercepted communication channels, there were reports of Russian military officials engaging in altercations with North Korean officers in the hours leading to the tragedy. What were these confrontations about? And why would these soldiers engage in such a self-destructive behavior in the midst of an Allied mission? Some analysts are suggesting that the North Korean troops in Kursk may have been deliberately misled, possibly believing they were engaging in a training exercise that would result in them being selected for a special forces team. This theory is consistent with other examples of deception in North Korean military history. It's also consistent with previous cases of mass self-harm observed in other military forces in the past. However, no explanation seems to be entirely adequate to encompass this entire situation. The sheer scale of the tragedy, the lack of a plausible motive, and the geopolitical implications all combine to create a situation of maximum chaos and maximum intrigue. Chapter 6, The Unexpected Twist. And now, for the twist in this already bizarre story. This might sound too incredible to believe, but some pieces of the puzzle are pointing to an utterly improbable scenario. It's being suggested, though there's no official confirmation, that the North Korean troops in Kursk might not have been who they appeared to be. Yes, that's right. The uniforms, the equipment, everything could have been a smokescreen. Evidence suggests that these soldiers might have been from a third, unknown nation, disguised as North Koreans, sent to sabotage a Russian military facility. A facility which, according to reports, was engaged in research on advanced weapons, some of which have been rumored to be capable of destabilizing the entire global balance of power. The report suggests that the self-inflicted deaths may have been part of a carefully crafted strategy, a way of eliminating all traces of their true identities and their real mission. The scale of the operation, the deception, the ruthlessness of the execution all indicate a level of sophistication that is both disturbing and awe-inspiring. The implications for global stability are significant. Did Kim Jong-Un knowingly send a suicide squad to Kursk, or was he also victim of the deception? Who would benefit from such a sophisticated act of sabotage? And the biggest question, what exactly were they trying to protect? As we conclude this unsettling narrative, it's clear that the events in Kursk transcend a simple military incident. They reveal a world where deception is a tool, where alliances are fragile, and where the unthinkable can become reality. The truth behind the Kursk incident remains shrouded in mystery, with the various global powers attempting to piece together the puzzle. The answers, I suspect, may be more dangerous than the questions themselves. Thank you for staying with me to the very end. If you found this unsettling exploration as engaging as I did, please like this video, and do not forget to subscribe to stay updated with the next investigation. Let me know in the comments what your theories are. Now let us delve into the key takeaways. The main takeaways from this investigation are as follows. The incident in Kursk is shrouded in mystery, with many aspects not fully explained by initial reports. The involvement of North Korean troops raises questions about the stability of the region and the complex relationships between global powers. The possibility of this being a rogue operation, a politically motivated act, or a highly sophisticated act of sabotage is not entirely dismissed and requires further examination. The role of Kim Jong-Un in these events remains unclear, and the true nature of his involvement is yet to be determined. The incident underscores the potential for deception and misinformation to be used as tools in global geopolitical struggles. We can therefore conclude that what occurred in Kursk was not an isolated incident, but a possible harbinger of further instability on a global scale.